Now, I am told on my screen that we are live, Jono. So let's hope
I'm
that's
talking
working
the same
somewhere on
thing.
the planet. Do you know? How you doing, big
Mm.
guy? You doing all right?
Yeah, we're doing great.
Yeah.
We're doing great.
Um, just in case people are joining us and don't know who Jono Fletcher is at this side of the pond, Jono is the what are you the director, czar,
No,
overlord?
yeah, Lord and Master.
Yeah,
Um, Head of Partnerships is my job title at WorldVision New Zealand. So I look after our church team and our schools and youth and young adults team. I assume that you look after that because I'm so young and, you know, hip.
mate, absolutely. Like, I don't know what a lot of people in New Zealand look like, but everyone that I've seen, you're definitely the youngest.
Yeah, I'm so young and hip. I've skipped right past TikTok and I just jumped that altogether.
Oh, you're on to the next thing.
I'm not sure what the next thing is, but I'm
Yeah,
on it.
trendsetter, mate, trendsetter. So just welcome. Sorry, it's early in the morning here. It's late at night in New Zealand because I believe the world's round. There are other opinions. They're wrong. But it's really good to be chatting with Jono. Jono's became quite a good friend of mine. He likes rugby, which is helpful. But since lockdown, like you're my first actual lockdown friend, like somebody who I didn't know before lockdown, and now I do know and we chat to. And that's quite exciting, especially because you're really far away. But Jono, we've done some stuff together. We did the Church Leaders Cafe, which was your guys' initiative early. You guys have really hit the ground running early with a lot of stuff. What's that actually looked like for you? Like, has that just been quite natural, or have you guys really had to put a lot of thought into what's happening in New Zealand?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's an element of both, right? We were told in terms of lockdown for us, it was March 20 something or other, and we had a sort of a press statement or a news thing that came through from the Prime Minister that these levels were going to happen and that we were going to be changing levels soon, and then suddenly Monday we're at level 3, which was almost complete lockdown, and that we were going to go to level 4 in 2 days' time. And at the time, the week before, we were in the middle of our youth conferences. So we run these 4 sort of big
Sure.
youth conferences across the country. We have, I don't know, thousands of young people there, inspiring them about or breaking their hearts for with injustice and getting them involved with the 40-hour famine. And so we've just done Dunedin, which is Scotland of New Zealand, and then we got to Christchurch, and we were like, "Oh, should we still be going?"
Mhm.
Schools are like, "Oh, something that's still on. We're in. Great, this is awesome." Numbers are starting to dwindle a bit, and then the end of that day, we had 2 more to come. The end of that day, we were like, we get a message from the board at World Vision, no more. That's it. You're done.
Yeah.
We're and so we got home that weekend, and then of course on the Monday we went to level 3. We told that Wednesday we're going to be level 4, and complete lockdown. You can't leave your home. We had a big KFC party the night before with a whole lot of interns from church before we all went to our
Wow.
bubbles. And you
Yeah.
talk about making lockdown friends. My lockdown friends are my kids. Hey, my teenagers. Hey, you're home every night. Great.
Yeah,
Jono.
they will be loving that, mate. So
Yeah.
excited by that, I'm sure. But the reason that we are chatting today is because you guys have already kind of went back to church as normal, and we're starting to look at that over here, and we've actually arranged to have a bit of a webinar. It's next week, isn't it? The 13th. Is that when we're doing
Yeah,
it?
that's right.
I should have
13th, yeah.
probably checked beforehand.
Well, 13th
Information
my
will
time.
follow.
I think it's 13th your time, 7 p.m. my time, 8 a.m. Yeah, this very time in a week's time will be.
In a week's time, you can join Jono, and you've got 3 amazing church leaders from across New Zealand. Who is it that you've arranged to chat to?
Yeah, the experience for churches, probably similar to the UK, has been different for different churches. There
Mm,
are some things that have sort of happened to everyone, and we've all responded in similar ways. But we wanted to get churches and church leaders that had slightly different experiences because of the nature of their churches. So, from large to small is a good way to think about it. So we've
mm.
got Pastor John Cameron from Arise Church. It's probably one of the top 2 largest churches in New Zealand in terms of core congregation size.
Yeah,
They would have 8,000, I think, on a Sunday, and well, before lockdown they did anyway.
sure. Yeah, 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 yeah.
And so, really a key church for us in New Zealand. Also happens to be my home church, and John and I grew up together, so that really helps.
That's an easy
So
invite.
he's
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
come and talk about what the experience was like for a mega church, if you like, to go
Mm,
from big big human events to nothing.
Yeah.
In fact, his daughter was the camera production team. You know, it's that
Sure.
kind of extreme. So Pastor John Cameron from Arise Church in Wellington, and we have Pastor Sarah Rice. So Sarah and her husband Elliot are the pastors of a moderately sized Baptist church in Christchurch.
Come on, the Baptists. That's what we want. A Baptist love there. Love that.
Yeah, probably the example that most people can connect to as church leaders. Church of a couple of hundred, the thing. So deep thinkers and passionate about the house, and so they have their experience again in another city. Of course, they've come the backdrop of the earthquakes 10 years ago, and the way that the city responded from that, and the way they responded to lockdown with that experience in their psyche. And then the third one is the Venerable Dr. Lyndon Drake, who is the Archdeacon of the Māori tikanga of the Anglican Church in Tamaki Makaurau, which is Auckland. And so again, coming from a different perspective, a diocese with a lot of smaller congregations, a diocese that is Indigenous, so it's Māori population, and so has a different expression of church. Again, even just the fact of being Anglican versus the Baptist and the Pentecostal, another expression. So those are the three that we have, both really great people with some amazing experiences and deep thinkers. So I think it'll be a great conversation.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to hearing what they've got to say. And just, you know, as we're trying to wrestle with some of that over here, and, you know, what does it look like to go back? Like, I know that there's some great opportunity to ask those guys some questions and stuff. And we've actually managed to get Dave Richards, who's the rector at P's and G's. But Dave's quite interesting because he sits on the Alpha Scotland board, but he also sits on the WorldVision board. So he's kind of got a foot in both camps, and their church are looking at going back in the next couple of weeks and stuff as well. So it's really, really exciting just to hear what people's opinions and stuff are going to be. So yeah, I'm super pumped about it. I think it'll be really, really good.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are a lot of surprises in lockdown. I think the questions that everyone had here, which I think are probably the same in the UK, is if we shut church, will they come back? And how quickly will they come back, if they come back at all? And what happens if they were comfortable at home watching church online and they don't want to do church in person? And you know, all those sort of questions. What happens to this great new online campus of congregation members that you've now managed to corral? How do I pastor them going forward if this is the new normal? You know, I heard someone say that church is now going to be a digital experience with a physical expression instead of the other way around. So how they didn't teach us that in theological training. So yeah, there's some interesting stories that'll come out of it, I think.
Yeah. So look, I'm really excited to hear all about that. So that's next week, the 13th, 8 a.m. You can get the details on Eventbrite. We'll stick them up on Alpha Scotland. We'll share it out and stuff. And that'll be super exciting. I keep saying that. It's early in the morning here. I've not even finished my first coffee of the day yet, Jono. Do you know what I mean? Like, I know it's the end of the day for you because you're away to go for dinner, but it's the start here. Nightmare. So, mate, look, it's always a pleasure to speak to you. I'm going to hang up this live thing now in case we say something that's going to get us arrested. Does that seem fair?
Thanks, Des.
No worries, mate. We'll see you next week. Cheers, bud.
Yes, see you.